Hi, my name is Megan, and this is Everything Lit. And today I'm bringing you a book haul, and you might be like, Megan, aren't you not supposed to be buying books? Also, my nightlight, you know what? It's making weird shadows. And yeah, you're right, I'm not supposed to be buying books, and I'm not. I'm doing great on my book buying, low buy year. I have requested 10 books from the library, and I get the anticipation of when are they gonna arrive? Are they in transit yet? Without paying for them. So that's very exciting. But at the very end of December, the day after Christmas, Barnes & Noble had their book haul sale where every hardcover in store was 33% off. Now, it's not as good as last year, 50% off. However, if you're a premium member, you got your extra 10% off. So basically you got 43% off. And for every $50 you spent, you got $20 of rewards money. And I spent a lot of money, but I had rewards money saved up. So craziness, absolute craziness. I'm going to be talking about the 27 books I bought in hardcover, and then a couple pre-orders that have come, and the 2 books that I have bought this year. And I know we're only 20 days into the year when I'm filming this, but last year I bought almost a book a day, basically. I usually bought them in large stacks, but this is definitely progress. I'm working on it, first month of the year, gotta celebrate. First, let's talk about sequels that I got in the YA category. I bought This Cursed Light by Emily Thaid. This is the sequel to This Vicious Grace. I don't really know what it's about. I think it's about, I don't know what this one is about specifically, but the first one is about a woman who is immortal and takes husbands and then they die, or she takes their power, she kills them, something. She's been through a lot of men, and then her bodyguard volunteers, or she has a bodyguard that she cares about and doesn't want to kill. I've heard the world building is good. I'm excited to read this duology now that it's complete. I picked up Immortality, a love story by Dana Schwartz. This is the sequel to Anatomy, a love story. And the first one is about a woman who wants to be a scientist, who wants to go to university. She's kind of held back from her ambitions by being a woman, because this is kind of a historical fiction, and she falls in love with or meets a grave robber, or someone who takes bodies for science out of their graves, and I think they team up and do weird stuff. I believe this is also a duology that is now complete. I'm just completing all the duologies because I also have Foul Heart Huntsman by Chloe Gong. This is the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition. I have the first in the same printing, and the first one is Foul Lady Fortune, and I know that it's historical fiction, 1930s Shanghai Shakespeare retelling. I don't even remember what Shakespeare. This duology is complete, and I'm really interested in Chloe Gong because I feel like she just blew up overnight. Her debut, These Violent Delights, was Romeo and Juliet inspired Shanghai. I think these worlds might be connected, so I might go back and read that other ones. And then, of course, the book that I'm sure everyone picked up if they could was Ruthless Vows by Rebecca Ross. I actually had to order this because anytime you ordered a hardcover in store, you also got the 33% discount. So you could basically order any book you want in hardcover and get the discount. So that's what I did because this was sold out by the time I got to the bookstore, and I went to 2 Barnes & Nobles and it was sold out at both. So this is the sequel to Divine Rivals, which if you've watched BookTube or Instagram or anything has been a huge hit this year. People were talking about Fourth Wing and Divine Rivals. This is the sequel. It is a duology. It is now complete. In the first book, we have 2 journalists who are writing about this war, and somehow there's a magical closet and their letters go back and forth, and they're rivals in real life, but their letters are more vulnerable and intimate. Let's talk more YA, but just standalones or first in a series or whatever. So first I have Emmett by Elsie Rosen. This is the author of Camp, and if you watch my channel, same author as Lion's Legacy, which I adored, one of my top 10 books of the year. And this is a queer contemporary Emma retelling. So we have Emmett, who is trying to be a matchmaker at his school, and just causing drama. It's apparently very gay, very messy. I have The Alchemy of Moonlight by David Ferraro. This has like historical fiction, vampires, werewolves happening. The back says, in this queer gothic romance, a young marquis caught between freedom and passion, honor and love will have to unravel a centuries-old curse to find his own happy ending. I picked up Godly Heathens by H.E. Egmond. Honestly, I picked this up knowing almost nothing because Katie Roberts said it was one of her best books of the year, and I'm a Katie Roberts stan. This involves a non-binary Seminole teen in Georgia known for being their peers' queer awakening, and this main character, Jem, is like attacked by a stranger claiming to be the goddess of death. So I think it has to do with mythology, this teenager coming into their power. It sounds exciting, it sounds weird, it sounds like a little horror, and I am here for that. Of course, I picked up The Bewitching Hour by Ashley Poston, one of my favorite authors. This is a prequel to Buffy involving the character Tara. I have never watched Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and I probably never will at this point because everything Joss Whedon has touched is ruined, but I will read this because I support and love Ashley Poston. I have Beholder by Ryan LaSala. This is a horror book, and I think Ryan LaSala has one of the most imaginative batch of books. I don't know how I want to say that. Ryan LaSala is one of the most imaginative writers in YA today, in my opinion. I think that his stories are interesting and new and fresh and queer and fun, and I have heard nothing but good things about this. So our main character is the only survivor of this like massacre, but also I think he discovers that he has like supernatural powers, whether it's like he can see through portals and bring things over, or like he is something creepy. I don't know. I don't want to know. It sounds scary. Look at the cover. That's scary. And I think it's taking on the idea that beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Ooh. Okay, I'm trash. I picked up Curious Tides by Pascal Lascelles. Pascale Lascelles. I don't know what this is about. It's got a beautiful cover, and I feel like Barnes & Noble has pretty good like book club picks. I've heard this is dark academia. Our main character has a healing ability. People are calling it like Fourth Wing meets A Deadly Education, and I love A Deadly Education so much, and I enjoyed Fourth Wing itself, not the sequel. So I bought it. I got If I Have to Be Haunted by Miranda Sun, and this is about a girl who can see ghosts, and she finds this boy's dead body in the woods, and I think they have to like team up to solve his murder. I bought The Spells We Cast by Jason June. I kind of need to slow down on doing this because I bought one of his other books in hardcover and I still haven't read it. I could have just waited for the paperback, but here we are doing the same thing. This involves wizards, queer people, and like maybe soulmates. I finally picked up Lost in the Neverwoods by Aiden Thomas. This is their second book after Cemetery Boys, and I just never picked it up. I was waiting for it to come out in paperback, and it never did. It's been like 2 or 3 years at this point, so I just grabbed it. And this is a Peter Pan retelling, Peter and Wendy. Wendy gets like left behind. So this is a story about Wendy who went into the woods with her 2 brothers, and then later that day or the next day, after people have been freaking out, she comes out of the woods, her 2 brothers are missing. I like this author, and I have bought all of his other books in hardcover, so I figured might as well. And the last YA book of this batch is Hawkeye, Bishop Takes King by Ashley Poston. I kind of saved up and waited to buy all of her new hardcover books at this sale because she just came out with so many books this year. This is obviously a Marvel book about Kate Bishop. I'm sure it's funny and quirky, and I think Ashley Poston is probably a really good choice to write this character, and I can't wait to see what she does with this because I did enjoy the Hawkeye show, even though I have beef with Hawkeye and Infinity War and how and Endgame and how all that went down. I just have beef with Marvel at this point, but I'm still supporting them. What can you do? I picked up Safe and Sound by Mercury Stardust. This is like a homeownership renter's guide to fixing things. I follow them on Instagram and it seems really helpful as a brand new like homeowner in the last couple of years. I bought one mystery, and that is A Killing in Costumes by Zach Bissonette. This is a cozy mystery about a costumer. Why can't I ever think? Wardrobe manager in Hollywood. Two people who were soap opera stars in the late 90s, a husband and wife duo. They are being hired to clothe a 90-year-old diva, and she winds up dead, and they are gonna help figure out what happened. So let's talk fantasy. I bought quite a few fantasy books. I bought both of Becky Chambers' novellas, A Psalm for the Wild Built and A Prayer for the Crown Shy. These are her like monk and robot books. So this is a series where robots gained sentience and then suddenly one day put down all their tools and walked into the forest and just like disappeared, never to be seen again. And I guess a monk is out one day and meets a robot, and they kind of travel around, maybe? I did end up picking up The Fragile Threads of Power by V.E. Schwab. This is the sequel trilogy to A Darker Shade of Magic trilogy, and this is the first. It follows a lot of different characters, I think, but also a couple of the same. I think we catch back up with Rye and Delilah, but also a couple new people, and of course if Delilah's there, Kel is probably there. I picked up the next in the Wayward Children series, that is Lost in the Moment and Found by Seanan McGuire. These typically come out in January, so I like wait a whole year to get the next one, and this I think is the 8th or 9th and involves a shop where like lost things end up, and I think this girl ends up there. And I think with it we learn a lot more about the world and how those doors are connected. And finally, I bought A Power Unbound by Freya Marsk. This is the third in a series that I have not read any of. I think it's called The Last Binding Trilogy, and this might be the last one. I don't know, because I haven't read it. What am I doing? But I have all three in hardcover, and maybe now that they're completed, I will read them. These are queer, magical, historical, fiction, fantasy. Let's talk literary fiction, because I kind of, splashed out, gave myself permission to buy a couple books that I maybe hadn't planned on or weren't on my list, but they just sounded so fascinating. And there were two books that I wanted that I didn't end up getting. I'm gonna end up buying them in softcover just because the stores that I went to didn't have them. I was kind of bummed. I really wanted Shark Heart. Let's talk about the books that I actually did buy. I bought The House of Doors by Tan Tuan Eng. This is a historical fiction, literary fiction set in 1921, and this couple, Leslie and Robert, meet Somerset Maugham with his secretary Gerald, and I think the four of them have a weird relationship. So I think Somerset is inspired by this couple, but also he has an affair with her husband. It just sounds messy. Maybe a little bit about the inspiration of one of Somerset Maugham's, I'm gonna have to look up how to say that, novels. I picked up Ripe by Sarah Rose Etter. This is about a woman who has a job in Silicon Valley and just feels trapped and burnt out. She ends up unexpectedly pregnant. Sounds triggering for me, but it also is probably fantastic. I bought The Refugee Ocean by Paul Tutongi. This was another like Barnes & Noble monthly pick a while ago, and this is set in the early 1920s. A woman who is traveling to Europe to study, and then 50 years later, a refugee from Syria is traveling to America. So I'm not 100% sure like what this covers, but from the title, I think it is about like making a home in a new place and the struggles to not only get to that place, but be accepted there. And this is one of the things that got me. One of the blurbs says, 2 musicians, 2 countries, 2 conflicts, 2 time periods, Paul Tutongi's breathtaking new novel presents two narratives that are equally engrossing, yet so far removed from each other that one of the book's central questions becomes how exactly Tutongi will ever manage to weave the two storylines together. I bought Same Bed, Different Dreams by Ed Park. I have heard this compared to Station 11 because anything compared to Station 11 will get me. This involves Korea, 1919. I'm going to read you what made me want to buy it. Same Bed, Different Dreams weaves together three distinct narrative voices with an archive of mysterious images and twists reality like a kaleidoscope. Korean history, American pop culture, and our tech-fraught lives come together in this extraordinary and unforgettable novel, loaded with assassins and mad poets, RPGs and slasher films, K-pop bands, and the perils of social media. Like, okay. This has been like categorized as sci-fi a little bit, so it might have like an alternate lives, alternate universes kind of vibe. I picked up Deep as the Sky, Red as the Sea by Rita Chang Epig. This is a pirate story. I think it's inspired by the first female pirate, or like the most feared female pirate. This is about a Chinese pirate queen. It just sounds so intense. Our main character sees a Portuguese sailor kill her husband, a feared pirate, and in order to seize control of their like pirate fleet, she marries her husband's second in command and agrees to bear him a son and heir in order to retain power over her half of the fleet. It sounds incredible. There are so many incredible blurbs on the back. One author said it combines the scope and lyricism of Gabriel Garcia Marquez with the propulsive storytelling of Susanna Clarke, an epic novel with the intimacy of a portrait. And then I bought The Sea Elephants by Shastri Akela. I cannot wait to read this. I think it's queer. A boy runs away from his family to basically join a traveling theater group. He meets a charming photographer. It says, an ode to the redemptive joys of art. This debut novel is a celebration of hard-won love for others and for ourselves. Now let's talk about the pre-orders that have come in so far. Two of them are from December. I have Public Anchovy #1 by Mindy Quigley. This is the third in her cozy mystery series about a pizza parlor owner in Wisconsin. I read the first one last year, absolutely loved it. It's so funny. Delilah as a main character is fiery and funny, and it's goofy, and she has a fat cat, and I love it. And then I also got On the Plus Side by Jenny L. Howe. This is about a woman who kind of just likes to stay in the background, not be noticed, and then she has a crush on a coworker. Someone nominates her for this reality show called On the Plus Side. It's a makeover show. I'm thinking, what was that makeover show from the early 2000s? How to dress, makeover, whatever. You know what I'm talking about. She kind of finds comfort in a cameraman of this show and like their banter, but her coworker is now noticing her, and it sounds fun. It's giving one to watch vibes, that romance, kind of like a bachelorette type show, but make it a makeover. And so I think having it be a makeover show opens it to a lot of good conversations about clothing and plus size bodies and what that looks like or should look like. Cute romance, plus size main character. I'm excited to read it. So all of those books that we've talked about, December. Let's talk about January. I have 3 pre-orders that came in. Of course, Midnight Ruin by Katie Robert, and I actually am going to be returning my pre-order because I bought this one at the store to get the wristband to get her to sign it. It's a whole big mess, but it was technically a pre-order, so I'm counting it. This is the 6th in the Dark Olympus series, and this follows Eurydice, Charon, and Orpheus. So we've got a little threesome couple, and it's kind of a second chance romance because Eurydice and Orpheus were together in the first book and he did something kind of shitty. So I think in this one he's trying to apologize and get her back, but she's also kind of into Charon, who has been her like bodyguard for the past couple books. I pre-ordered Most Ardently by Gabe Cole Novoa, and this is a Pride and Prejudice remix. So it's London 1813, and Oliver Bennet feels trapped He is a trans boy. His family treats him as a woman named Elizabeth. He is struggling with the expectations of his family and going to balls and wearing the dresses and living up to those expectations. When he goes out at night as a young gentleman, dressed as a gentleman, he meets Darcy, who snubbed Elizabeth at the ball. I think now Oliver's family is trying to like marry him off and have him settle into a like normal, not queer life, because it's London 1813, and I just can't wait to see what this author does with this story. Another pre-order that came in is Fence, Volume 6, Redemption. This is a graphic novel series by C.S. Paquette, Joanna the Mad, and Joanna Lafuente. This is about a fencing team at a high school and their rivalries and their competition, and I just love it. I love these characters. They're so fun to get to know, and the illustrations are just so cute. And now, the only two books that I have technically bought in the year 2024, they were both 50% off, so I basically paid the price of one and got two. I'm scouting the deals. The first one is For Girls Who Walk Through Fire by Kim DeRose. This is about a girl who goes to a like sexual abuse teen support group because she has been abused and she's tired of it and she's angry, and these girls find a spell book and decide to curse and torment their abusers. And it sounds phenomenal. I love female rage. I love magic. The last book of this book haul is Straight Expectations by Callum McSwiggan. This, look at the cover first of all. Isn't it such a throwback to like 80s and 90s teen books? Oh my gosh. This is about a boy who is queer and he gets in a fight with his best friend and he makes a wish that he wasn't queer and that he never met his best friend. And he wakes up the next morning and his feelings for boys are gone. He is straight and his best friend has also disappeared and he has a girlfriend. So he is just kind of dropped into this alternate life, and it's about him finding his way back to himself, basically. It sounds so interesting and good, and it's blurbed by Elsie Rosen, author of Lion's Legacy and Camp, and this is what their blurb says. Straight Expectations blends classic rom-com with a heartfelt examination of what it is to be queer and how it is so much more than just a matter of attraction, a well-crafted and swoony novel of learning to fall in love with yourself as well as the cute boy. Yes, thank you. I will read that. So those are all of the books to finish out 2023 and the first couple books of 24. I probably won't have a lot of book hauls this year, fingers crossed, but I'm thinking I'll do a library haul soon. So tell me, what is the first book that you purchased in the year? Have you not purchased any books yet? What's your book buying look like this year? What are your goals? Tell me about them. But thank you for watching. If you like this video, you could click that like button. You could subscribe to me, but really, you can do whatever you want. I will see you next time.